would it still be an incredible movie if Sarah Connor dies in the first movie?
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so Sarah Connor dies in the first movie. What does the second movie even look like? Could you even make it a good movie?
We would have to rewrite Terminator 2
Yeah.
with no Sarah Connor.
Yes.
Linda Hamilton, she's out.
Yeah, so this is like the same thing we did with Star Wars, where Luke Skywalker dies at the end of Empire.
Yes.
Yeah, so now it's like, what happens if, like, you know, just like Marlon Brando's notorious for, like, leaving set in the middle of a movie, what happens if Linda Hamilton leaves set, you know, at the end of Terminator 1, so then they have to
missing, so now Linda Hamilton's missing.
Linda Hamilton's missing, they have to kill off her character, Sarah Connors, and rewrite the end of the first movie, thus what does the second movie look like? Holy cow.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's... there's a lot of different directions you can go in with it. Because it's like, do you keep Kyle Reese alive? Kyle Reese is the guy from the future who comes back, you know?
Yeah.
And then, like, I almost feel like I need to do a brief Terminator synopsis here, where it's like Terminator's a movie about a woman
who's this big Austrian guy.
There's this guy from Austria. It's a movie about a woman who ends up getting pregnant, and her son becomes the savior of humanity because AI robots take over the world, and he defeats them. So they send a Terminator, a robot, back to kill him. Yeah. And anyway, and then they also his side sends a human back to protect him. But the sender that they send back is Kyle Reese, who also happens to be his father, because him and his mother have relations. So he sends his own father back in time, basically, so he can be born, so he can save the world. It's
a bit of a time travel paradox.
Yeah, it's a fun little thing. But if Sarah Connors dies in the first movie, he's never born.
Right.
So it's like, so you could have it where at some point the Terminator's still kind of like intact. He's not Skeletor yet.
Okay.
And then both her and Kyle Reese die. Like when they're in there's a scene where they're in a truck in a tunnel and they're throwing like pipe bombs, and maybe one of the pipe bombs goes off, blows them both up. And now the Terminator is still alive. And now you could have it where the second movie is the Terminator's won the first movie. He's defeated John Connor, who's never been born now.
Yeah, yeah.
But now there's like the second in command.
Right.
So there's this interesting thing that happens during war where they'll be like, oh, we know this general is going to be on this plane. Yeah. And we can take this plane out. However, should we? Because if we take the plane out, then the second in command takes over, and this guy might be worse than the first guy.
Yeah, he's even crazier than the guy who's in charge.
Yeah.
Like, do we really want him?
Yes. So it's like you could take out the general, but the general's got seniority, which is why he's in charge. Yeah. And the second in command, we actually know he's probably the better general.
Right.
So there's always that situation where, yes, John Connor is a great general. Yes, he saves the world. But maybe the guy in second command is an even better savior of the world. So now the Terminator's programming would be, who's the second in command? And now I'd go after him.
That's true.
Yeah. Like there's this weird thing in the Terminator movies where like they're always like, what happens if like we die? And the Terminator's like, then I have no purpose. It's like, no, like you would just go to the next objective, which is to save the next person in line.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like maybe that one particular Terminator would not have a purpose anymore because he only has one objective.
Yes.
But like them as a whole, like they have a very binary objective, which is to defeat the humans. If John Connor's gone, then there's still a bunch of other humans out there.
Yes.
And like potentially somebody who could, just take the reins. If John Connor's not there, they don't all just sit there and get killed off by the robots. Somebody takes the reins and says, "Okay, I'm gonna see if we can fight back." Yes.
So I think the Terminator's objective would then go to the second in command.
Yeah.
Who just so happens to be Ted McGillicuddy.
What?
Ted McGillicuddy, that's the name of the guy. That's the name that I'm giving the guy. Ted McGillicuddy. Ted McGillicuddy.
You said the name like he was somebody who existed in the Terminator universe.
He does now.
He does now, okay.
Ted McGillicuddy is second in command. Yeah. And we don't really know how good he's going to be as first in command, but we know he's second in command, so he's at least really good at something.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, when you have like, your American football coach is usually pretty well-rounded good, but then you'll have like an offensive coach and a defensive coach and a quarterback coach and all these other stuff,
Yeah, yeah.
So Ted McGillicuddy's specialty is maybe like hacking or something like that.
Okay.
So his approach would be probably to go at it from that direction as opposed to like this frontal assault that John Connor has this more like aggressive, like, no, we have to storm their base, take them out from there. Ted McGillicuddy's approach is a little bit more laid back and like, no, we need to like, dig tunnels so we can get like our cables into their mainframe and then we can just hack them, that he's something like that. He could be something else, but so that could be what Terminator 2 is now there's Ted McGillicuddy who's, but you could have it, but Ted McGillicuddy at this point is still a young person as well. He'd have to be like, maybe he's 10 or 15 years older than John Connor, but he'd be like a 15-year-old at the most, probably at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the movie wouldn't really have to change all that much from Terminator 2.
Yeah,
or maybe it would, because
he would
isn't
just
it
roll
John
right
Connor
into it
who sends the T-100?
Yeah, John Connor sends Arnold Schwarzenegger back.
Okay.
Yes, but it doesn't mean. But now we're basically creating new timelines in these movies.
Okay. All right.
Where like a Terminator goes back, a new timeline has been created. It has a weird like loop, but it also is creating new timelines at the same time.
It might actually make more sense for somebody who's like a hacker to think like, no, let's not send one of our people back. Let's send one of the robots back. It's like, I'll just reprogram it.
Yeah. You could, you could still have a Terminator 2 situation, but I think you would just have Terminator 1 almost like Halloween, where right at the end of Halloween 1, Halloween 2 begins. Right at the end of Terminator 1, the beginning of Terminator 2 is basically like the last scene of Terminator 1, and then now they're just moving straight into Terminator 2. And the Terminator is now headed towards Ted McGillicuddy, and you have this sense of like, okay, like, and you can even see the list that he has too of people. Like maybe he has a list of people, and there's like 3 of them. So now he's hitting. Ted McGillicuddy's like his number 1 priority now, and now and then he's got like 2 other priorities. And at the beginning of the movie, you could have it like where in the first one he's taking care of all the other Sarah Connors because he just doesn't know which one's which. Yeah. In this one, he's taking out the other guys in the list, and now you know like this is the high command that takes down the machines. And taking out John Connor was a huge hit, but we still have a chance. And if he takes out, now he's taking out the number 4 and 5, and 3 guy. And now if he takes out the number 2 guy, because he's the only guy left now that we're like locked into this thing, we're pretty much toast. Yeah. So then you just have that movie of like now it's kind of like now the news is maybe showing this guy, like there's this guy that we can't stop who's going around taking people out. He's already taken out these people, we believe, and now he's heading after these guys. So now it's like people are on kind of like the lookout for this guy. So when Ted McGillicuddy sees him, like for the first time, he knows like, oh, I know to run. Yeah. Then once he gets the sense of this guy's coming after me, now he knows I have to I gotta actually evade this guy. I can't just run away like everyone else. Yeah. He's actually coming after me and hunting me. So, but that's just one direction to go in. Yeah. It's fun, but it's not like I'm not as invested. Yes. Because it's a sequel. Yes. It feels like a sequel. Right. Like the other direction. The other direction. You keep Kyle Reese alive. Yeah. Sarah Connors dies. Kyle Reese stays alive. Yeah. And now you could have it where Kyle Reese defeats the first Terminator. But
Yeah.
Kyle Reese now has. So you either go in the direction of Kyle Reese is scanning kind of like obituaries, seeing if, and he's been doing this now for like years.
Yeah.
You know, like now it's like maybe like 10, 15 years later. He's scanning obituaries, seeing if there's that same style killing of these people are dying with the same name.
Okay, yeah.
You know, because he knows the Terminator doing. So he's scanning all these different things. Maybe he's looking for like, has there been some weird electrical fluctuations in the atmosphere recently? Like on days where there's no clouds, no skies, but for some reason there's a weird electrical flux. You know, he's scanning for all these different telltale signs that he knows means a Terminator is there.
Yeah.
You know, that nobody else would maybe know. So his job now is to find maybe either the next John Connor or to find the second in command that he already knows is the second in command and protect this guy.
He could create the next John Connor.
Yeah, he's just
go planting his seed all over town.
He's out there clubbing every night, picking up the ladies. Hey, you want to come back to my place?
Want to save the world?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Kyle Reese is a real jerk.
No, I like that actually. That like him finding kind of the second in command, because like he's in the war, so he knows these people.
Yes.
And he knows that they're children. He knows they're about what John Connor's age would have been, like whatever. Yeah. And he's like, I could try and find these people.
Yeah.
And like maybe train them, give them some early training. Like they're just kids now. Like they don't know.
Yes. So he would be trying to find the second in command. I think the second in command is going to be younger than John Connor.
Yeah.
So he's not sure how old any of these guys are, because if you're living in this weird world, you don't have a sense of birthdays or anything like that. He just knows the guy's older than him.
Okay. Yeah.
So he's kind of like waiting around. He knows the guy's name. You know, and then he's got to like be kind of doing what the Terminator's doing now, where he's like looking through this list, trying to find the names of people. So I think it's even cool, like starting the movie with him, where it's like 10 years later, and it just shows him like kind of like walking the streets, and he's kind of like he's now the guy going through the phone books, like looking through the names. Yeah. Then visiting people like with this exact name, the Ted McGillicuddy. He's looking through the phone books for Ted McGillicuddy, you know. Yeah. And now he's finding like Ted McGillicuddy's, and he's kind of looking at them, and he's like, that's not him. And he's like walking, and you don't even know what's going on yet. Yeah. You know. And then at some point though, I think the Terminator comes back. Now the second Terminator comes back. Mm-hmm. And then now Ted McGillicuddy's are getting killed, and now he's kind of getting clued into it. Yeah. Where he's like, it's got to be this guy now, you know, like I hope he didn't kill him yet. And then you can have still that cool scene where like Arnold comes back too. Yeah. Like the future people sent back Arnold to protect, and Kyle Reese like has this like, oh my gosh, you're the guy who killed Sarah. Yeah. You know, and you may have just destroyed our future. Right. But we still, so it's kind of that thing. But that actually might make for a really interesting movie.
Yeah, no, I think that it would. I think that there'd be kind of like a real good dynamic between Kyle Reese and the Terminator. Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be far off from, Sarah Connor's dynamic with the Terminator. Like he feels the same way that she does. Yeah. Or it's just like, man, like I just don't trust this thing.
I mean, he would hate it even more.
Yeah. Because he sees it all over the place. He's like, this is the face that's killed his friends.
Yeah. There's a completely different route of taking this thing.
Is there?
Yes.
Okay.
What do you got? So there. Okay, so remember that Christian Bale Terminator like Genesis movie?
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you why that movie sucked.
Okay.
And it's not the fault of the movie. It's a perfectly fine movie.
Yeah.
But what we wanted was we wanted a movie that was set in the Terminator 1, Terminator 2 future timeline. That's what we wanted. Yeah. We wanted a movie where humans were underground, and then when you went above ground, you were in the fight of your life with Terminators walking around, just picking everything off, and things flying in the air. And like there was really no way of getting around on the surface other than you fought your way from point A to point B.
Right.
That's what we wanted.
Yeah.
Where like you could have had most of the movie underground and had those humans connections, but then had those scenes where like, okay, now we got to go from here to get to, Bravo base. Right. And it's like 5 miles away. And to get there, you got to go through, the craziest stuff in the world.
Yeah.
Right. That's what we wanted.
Right.
So what you do is you make that movie. So now Kyle Reese is still alive, and he's lived now all the way to the Terminators.
Yeah.
And he's older now. He's like a 60-year-old guy, whereas John Connor would have been like maybe 40 or something like that. Yeah. So he's 60, but he's trained himself now to become the leader because he failed. He failed to save John Connor. And now he's like, I know John Connor would have won. I don't know if I win. I don't know. Yeah. But now we're in that timeline, and now all the flashbacks are actually back to the past of him living his life in the past. Yeah. And and here's the weird thing that you could do. You could make it where him living his life in the past was harder on him than living his life now in the future as an adult man. Where now he's an adult man living his life in the future, but he grew up in this world, and it's normal to him, and he prefers it. Yeah. And the past was difficult, where like he's in a mental institution and he's getting put in jail, and he doesn't know how to he's trying to work some job, and some guy makes some snarky remark to him. Yeah. And he's like, I used to be respected. Yeah. From the leader, the savior of humanity used to treat me like I was his brother, and it's because he was his father the whole time. But he used to treat me well, and now I've got this guy. While I'm the manager at a Kinko's, I've got this guy over here talking trash to me, Yeah. And he just grabs the guy and throws him over the counter, So he's just getting fired from any job he's ever had. He can't handle the normalcy of the real world. And once he gets back to this future world where it's all you have to do is defeat Skynet. Yeah. Keep everyone alive, defeat Skynet. He's like, I know how to do that. Yeah. Maybe I'll fail, but this feels normal to me. Yeah. And now you have that movie. You have the Terminator movie that we all wanted, which was show us that future world, the one that we saw in Terminator 1 and Terminator 2 during the flashbacks. Yeah. Show us that world and have a movie set in that world. Yeah. Yeah. No, I like that. I think, man, that might be my favorite one. It's just if we follow Kyle Reese. It even makes sense for 60-year-old Kyle Reese to be sort of the general. Yes. Where it's just I have more experience in this than any of you. Yes. He's been preparing for it. He's he's now the guy that he knows what's going to happen. Yeah. Because he was already there. Yeah. And he even kind of knows how to defeat Skynet. Yeah. But he knows more about it than John Connor did. Than anyone did. The issue, though, is that he's not John Connor. And I think it's interesting if he, at the end, loses. Huh. But he's happy because he at least feels like I gave it everything I had. Yeah. I failed, but I gave it everything I had. I don't think you end the movie like that because the audiences would hate it. They would hate having this two movies, 4 hours of you watching through this movie only to see Kyle Reese inevitably lose to the Terminators. But that's actually the way you should go with it. That no, you do need John Connor. Yeah. You can't. John Connor is the savior. Even if you know what's going to happen, you're still going to fail because John Connor just has that X factor. Yeah. Yeah. John Connor's the guy. If I know, the last shot of the basketball game is a swish, I can know that. But if I'm the one taking the shot, I'm going to miss it because I just don't have that X factor that LeBron James or Michael Jordan or whoever, they have,
Right.
Wilt Chamberlain. No, I'm joking. I'm going back into just gonna keep
Jerry West.
Yeah, Jerry West. Yeah, just keep going back. Bill Russell. How far back are you gonna go, guys? But I don't think anyone would like that. So I think you do end it where Kyle Reese actually does win, and now he's redeemed himself. He failed to protect John Connor, but he redeemed himself in that he had the knowledge though to save the world. And now that's almost like that's kind of the weird loop there, where John Connor sends Kyle Reese back almost maybe knowing maybe he doesn't know, but there is that Kyle Reese could potentially save the world, but that's only if you keep Kyle Reese alive. Yeah. When there has to be a point where Linda Hamilton just doesn't show up.
She doesn't show up to work.
She just doesn't show up to work. Yeah, then you just.
It would have to be before Kyle Reese dies.
Yeah, I think it would probably happen during the car accident. So they're in the tunnel. They get in the car accident. Right after that, they go into the factory where they start turning on all the machines. And then they crush the Terminator. But right when the car crash happens, you could have it there where Kyle kind of looks and she's gone.
Yeah.
And
her head's missing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, why?
What? That is needlessly violent.
Yeah, they didn't have to do that. We couldn't get the
really
actress.
Wanted to get the point across.
We couldn't get the actress, and her twin sister wouldn't show up either. Both her and her twin sister. She does. Linda Hamilton has a twin sister.
I know.
Yeah. So
they pulled off
used her. Yeah, they
practical
used her
effects using that.
Yeah, they used her twin sister in Terminator 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, they get her twin sister to do the rest of the movie, and she's just terrible.
Yeah, she's like, I'm not an actress.
Yeah, but Kyle, I love you. Oh my gosh, this is so bad. Our love will last for eternity through the future past. What? Stop improvising. Stop improvising.
Future past.
But yeah, a lot of different routes you can go. There's probably more variations that you could take just to kind of get yourself started in what would this story look like. I think it could actually be. It's hard. I mean, the problem is now you're getting rid of Terminator 2, so you could never never like a different version of Terminator 2 because you can't. Right. You don't want to get rid of Terminator 2. But it would be cool to have, if we still got to have Terminator 2, to have an alternate version.
Yeah, this is the alternate universe.
Yeah, what does happen if Sarah Connor dies in this one timeline, and now you have Kyle Reese as the savior of humanity. Yeah. Basically, now he has to redeem himself after this catastrophic failure.
Yeah. I like that you have him get all the way to the future and then fail again.
I know, isn't that so, there's something really...
You know what? It's I'm just going to send myself back to the past again.
But he's happy about it. The thing is, he's happy about it because he at least feels he's happy about it because I did what I had to do.
He spent the last 20 years working at Kinko's, and he has to deal with people. He's like, maybe they're not worth saving.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, maybe the Terminator suck. Yeah, bring on Skynet.
What do you want to complain about now? What do you want to complain about now? Wait until Skynet comes. Destroys you all. All right. That third version I think I like best. It's he actually he trains himself. There's two Kyle Reeses there, kind of leading the charge.
Well, that would be a younger Kyle Reese. There would be a younger Kyle Reese.
Unless he sent his younger self back to the past again to try and get John Connor back.
Yeah, he could always kill his younger self, so that he doesn't. So that he doesn't have to. So that he doesn't have a.
Not that you do it to himself. What the Terminator was trying to do to John Connor, he wouldn't exist because he killed himself.
What if? Ooh, this is so interesting because Kyle Reese. Kyle Reese. Kyle Reese now has old man version and young man version.
Yeah.
Then Kyle Reese sends young man version back in time to save Sarah Connors because he knows he's going to fail.
That's what I've been saying.
Yes, okay, I didn't catch that.
I said that.
You got to say it so a second grader can understand. This time travel stuff is starting to freak me out, man. Okay, so he sends...
The younger one's like, if I'm going to kill you, but I can't because then I'll die. The older one's like, that's not how it works. Yeah. He sends his younger self back.
Yes, and now you have a completely different Terminator 1 movie as far as Kyle Reese is concerned, because Kyle Reese is now trained by... oh my god, dude. What if Kyle Reese in the future is calling himself John Connor? And he's sending Kyle Reese back to save Sarah Connors.
Yeah.
Because that's what he did. And he knows... Now when Sarah Connors dies, he's now thinking back and figuring it out like, wow, I actually think
there was no John Connor.
I think I'm John Connor, and that guy that everyone used to say like, he looks like an older version of you, you know? Ha 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 ha. Now I'm starting to realize why he looks like an older version of me. He sent me back so that if I fail, I can just live like he did, then save. So at some point, you couldn't even have it where John Connor lives, maybe the first timeline. John Connor lives. Once the Terminator gets sent back, John Connor always dies. And now Kyle Reese has to send himself back in this infinite loop. But Kyle Reese ends up winning. Yeah. Because he knows, what's going to happen because he's already been there.
Yeah.
But the original Kyle Reese does actually know and remember John Connor. And there's something kind of like bittersweet about it, where he knows like, I'm going to have to keep sending myself back. And I know once we get into this loop of having to time travel and send back, I know I fail every single time.
Yeah.
And but he can't prepare Kyle Reese for that. He has to do the same thing John Connor did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that Kyle Reese goes back and kind of lives through this thing again and defeats the Terminators again.
Yeah.
How weird would that be?
Yeah. I like that. At first I thought you were saying it would have been like another time travel paradox where there never was a John Connor. But then there would have to be a first.
There'd have to be an original John Connor for him to have that idea of John Connor. Yeah.
There's a 90-year-old Kyle Reese there. There's 3 of them. Yeah. Like, how did this happen?
Why do you stop sending yourself back multiple times? You're going to go back and I'm going to go back with you. No, I'll just go by myself, okay? He's all holding the hand of his younger self. Stop holding my hand. Yeah, but I think you could definitely do some really interesting things with it.
Yeah.
The cool thing is, Michael Biehn at this point now is like 60 or something.
Yeah.
The guy who played Kyle Reese, and you could actually have him like redoing the role as like his older self.
Yeah.
Then you could have just a younger actor play the younger Kyle Reese. I'm one of those people who actually hates the de-aging technology.
Yeah.
Like when all the
cool
CGI
when I
people,
first saw it.
I can't even watch a movie with it. It creeps me out. Like all the CGI people stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, it looks terrible to me every single time I see it. It never looks good.
Yeah.
I don't mind Gollum because it's like not a human.
Right. Yeah.
Or Jar Jar because it's not a human. I mind Jar Jar for other reasons, but I don't mind Jar Jar as being like a thing walking around. I mind it when you put a whole human CGI next to a real human.
Yeah.
That looks weird to me.
I feel like it was cool when I first saw it. Mm-hmm. And now I'm like, I kind of prefer it when you just do like a different actor who portrays the younger.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, Marlon Brando did it in The Godfather. They didn't de-age Marlon Brando. They just had Robert De Niro play him.
Yeah. Well, that's because he refused to show up to work.
Yeah, I know. Then when Marlon Brando didn't show up to work, they didn't age Robert De Niro. They just rewrote the scene.